T minus 4 minutes. T minus 3 minutes. T minus 2 minutes. T minus 1 minute. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8,
All
7,
right, folks.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
If y'all are on Rumble, go ahead and say hi in the chat, and otherwise we'll get this started. For those who don't know, this is Kenny with Just the Right Angle. I give updates on important stories, things that matter to you. I didn't mention this in the title, but I just saw a blurb about this, and I've seen a few comments about this. During the Arkansas primary, a lot of conservative Republicans were accused of several things, of being leftists and of being against what some call progress. And a few people were accused of being in bed with communist China. And these were Republicans that were opponents of Sarah Huckabee Sanders, mainly regarding her attempt to build the Franklin County mega prison, which is a backroom deal secret project, which is part of what I'm going to be talking about in this story. But I wanted to play this. This is from the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. It's a little short video about this.
Republican Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders used the Arkansas Attorney General's office to assail businesses as run by Communist China, despite her staff knowing those claims were unproven and the companies might be following the law. That's according to a trove of internal texts between members of the state attorney general's office that were disclosed in court records. The Sanders administration described a company as suspected of having ties to Communist China, providing no information to support this claim. The company, which is a Walmart supplier, is owned by a Taiwanese woman who is a naturalized American citizen. The AG's office asked for more time to research the company's ownership before Sanders' administration publicly linked the company to the communist nation, but was told by Sanders' staff that, quote, they would rather have a media hit and have to walk it back later, end quote, than wait. Taiwan is a self-governed island known officially as the Republic of China. The People's Republic of China, meanwhile, refers to the global economic and military power ruled by the Chinese Communist Party. The relationship between the two has long been contentious. To learn more about the text and read our full story, visit arkansasonline.com.
So anyway, that's a little blurb about that issue. Again, Communist China has been for decades involved in American politics on both parties. Mitch McConnell's wife, what's his name? Eric Swalwell, Dianne Feinstein. Again, these are people on both political parties, although mainly it's usually the Democrats that are heavily influenced by Communist China. We also had at least several incidents here in Arkansas. We had a guy named Chairman Shu who was basically had his hand held by then Governor Asa Hutchinson. Conduit News talked briefly about that years ago. If you type in Chairman Shu, Arkansas, Asa Hutchinson, you'll see some stories about that. But basically, one of the big problems we have when globalists control both political parties is that they will often sell out to enemies of America. The Chris Caldwell, Chase Duggar types, they will sell out to whoever can give them the biggest paycheck, and oftentimes at the expense of those who fight for freedom. And Communist China is another example of that. So the good news is her tactic really didn't work during the Republican primary for the most part. Oh, wow. It's sad to hear Princess Kulia. June 8th, she was 14. But for the most part, the 9 times out of 10, if there is a politician that is being bought off by Communist China, it's not a conservative. It's either a Democrat or what we call a Republican in name only, or rhino. But I do want to just briefly mention that before I talk about the main thing here. Regarding pet projects, the Arkansas legislature has decided to put on the ballot for November in the state of Arkansas an issue known as Issue 3. This is Issue 3 of 2026, not to be confused with other Issue 3s from previous years. And this is an article by Conduit that talks a little bit about a case study of economic development. This is Mississippi County. This is a 7-minute read, so I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I will skim through parts of it. So they decided to do an economic development plan here in this little county called Mississippi County. They approved a permanent half-cent sales tax to fund the Great River Economic Development Foundation. And the goal with this was to attract a business, and this particular business was a steel plant. And they did attract a steel plant. And several thousand jobs were made in steel. And so on face value, it looks like it worked. And everybody could pat themselves on the back and say, whoop-de-doo, we made jobs. That's what it's designed to look like. That's what people were all supposed to be happy. But when you read just within this particular article, it turns out a lot of people actually still left the state. A lot of people that work in the steel factories actually live in other parts of the state or in other states. Mississippi County lost 27% of its population since implementation of its economic development plan. And now it's facing a housing crisis because the steel jobs are held by non-residents. And of course, the company can hire anybody in the country. And then some only live in temporary housing and then return home. And this partially is because of the industry. Some types of industries, that's just the way it is. But the whole concept with the Economic Development Fund was to grow the county. And these are called migrant workers. That does not mean they are illegal. It just means they move in, work, and then move out. But it's at the cost of the county. 21% of the Mississippi County lives below the poverty line. And yet they're still getting more money for steel workers or to build new houses. But again, that's going to have to be more of your tax money. And then in 2015, they had to up the sales tax again, because of course Reagan's rule regarding something that doesn't work, you fund it, you tax it. That's how government works. If something does work, you tax it. If it still works, regulate it. If it doesn't work, subsidize it. And so this is where we are. You could say that this is absolutely subsidizing. Again, this is taking money from all the workers there in Mississippi County and giving it to this economic development group. The county has used tax dollars to hire multiple high-priced lobbying and public relations firms, including Washington, D.C.-based Timber Creek Group and Mullinex and Associates, to persuade people to move to Mississippi County. And this Mullinex and Associates, by the way, has been involved in a lot of other political things. They're one of those consultant-type groups that have ended up in the long run actually running the parties. And here you can see some details of how things are turning out. They have a graph here of what goes on. Folks, these economic development scams rarely ever work. And when they do, it often only works for a certain few. And that's just sadly the way it is. It's an absolute failure. So there is on the ballot, it'll be Arkansas Issue 3. If you may have to type in Arkansas Issue 3 Economic Development to get a full detail of it, because otherwise you'll get stories about another Issue 3. So here's kind of the search system from DuckDuckGo. It would let the legislature create economic development programs, economic development districts, and use public loans, again, your money, and grants to support projects aimed at diversifying the economy, blah, blah, blah. And it's taking your money and giving it to people who are politically connected. And you'll see all kinds of stories about this. Again, this was passed by a supposed Republican legislature, the Municipal League, a group dedicated to taking away your freedoms. They've been part of the effort to sneak in these scam data centers. By the way, this is the kind of stuff that you'll be getting with economic development. You'll get more things like crypto mining facilities, like the ones that were tied to communist China that folks like me and others had to fight against in Bologna. You'll get more solar panel farms. You'll get more windmill farms. You'll get more innovation hubs and community centers. That's what you're going to get. And, of course, more data centers, because we all know that's how data centers get sneaked in. That's what you're going to get more of with economic development. So, folks, Rumble is having a new thing for me where they are having me they want me to do what's known as premium subscriptions. And so I'm going to try to switch over to premium in just a little bit. I'm going to talk a little bit more based upon an Arkansas Democrat Gazette article about this. So if you're on premium, you can follow me. If not, you get to Rumble, subscribe to premium. And then I'm going to try to do a raid while I'm at it. These are just some new things I'm trying out with this program. So if you need to bounce off, go ahead. But otherwise, let me click the premium link and do that now. This is, by the way, the first time I've done this. And thanks to all who've been here and for telling and for saying all the things you've said. Princess Leia, thank you so much for the comments and for opening up about what all's been done. But let me switch to premium right now. Give me just one moment.